Hey, what is up? My name is Rubidium. Today we're doing something a little bit different on the Crimson Engine. There are a bunch of sort of announcements, things I wanted to share, news in film, and general kind of interesting stuff that's been going on that I wanted to kind of bunch all into one episode, let everyone know about. This is the May Day update. So first things first, I am giving a talk about the C200 and filmmaking in general at the Canon facility in Burbank on the 14th of May. You can register in the link below. So if you're in LA, if you're not in LA, if you're going to be here on the 14th, please come along, say hi. I would love to meet some of you, and I would definitely not want to give this lecture to an empty room. It's called Cinematography for Directors. It's going to be about how the new generation of digital cinema cameras like the C200 let non-cinematographers sort of get a way into cinematography by shooting RAW, by shooting 4K and downsizing to 2K, by generally having a more democratizing the cinematography process. The course is aimed at people who are already filmmakers in some form, but want to move into having a more hands-on approach with the camera and lighting and cinematography. Check out the link in the description, click on it, and if you're in LA or you can make it, come along. I'd love to meet you. The other big news from Canon is the launch of the C700 full frame camera that we saw at NAB. Full frame is definitely the future, just like I think RAW is the future. In fact, when I first shot on the C100, I couldn't work out why everything was so close. This is going back a few years, and I learned it was a crop frame sensor, and I was like the 70D. I was like, why would I want to shoot crop frame on a $6,000 camera? And everyone told me it's industry standard. That's Super 35. That's what people have been shooting since the day of early film. And I always remember thinking, that sucks, right? Like, crop frame is not as good as full frame. My 5D Mark III is full frame. I can shoot Magic Lantern on that, get a 14-bit RAW without spending any more money, but it doesn't have all the professional features. It doesn't have audio. It's not particularly stable. So the C200 is a huge trade up, but it is a Super 35, not a full frame camera. So now pretty much Red, ARRI, Sony, Panasonic and Canon have full frame cameras at the high end, at the $30,000 plus end. They'll eventually come down as the mass production of the sensors makes them cheaper, and essentially you get to use more of your lens if your lens is full frame, which a lot of my lenses are, a lot of cinema glass is, and you get to be wider while being closer. It'd be really nice in 2, 3, 4 years once the full frame is in these sub $10,000 cinema cameras. It'll be really great to get that kind of width and perspective. ARRI has come up with a program that people can buy pre-owned Alexas. So if you really want to get an ARRI Alexa Classic or an XT, and you don't mind it being a few years old, you can now get it for under $10,000. They're big cameras. Beautiful color science. Don't shoot RAW unless you add things to them. Don't have internal ND. Don't have an eyepiece or a monitor. They're not a whole package like the C200 is. But if Alexa is the way you want to go, then you can now get one for under $10,000. Atomos released ProRes RAW, which we saw at NAB, which is pretty cool. It's a free upgrade to a lot of their existing recorders, and you record a very high quality, very slightly compressed RAW image from any camera that can output RAW. So we're talking C300 Mark II, Panasonic Ava 1, a whole bunch of other cameras that can output RAW. If you have an Atomos recorder like the Ninja Blade or the Samurai or the Sumo, you can now shoot RAW and have all the wonderful things that go with that. You do have to power it, you do have to connect cables, you do have to do all those things. So I still much prefer working in internal RAW that the C200 does. But if your camera can't shoot that, then Atomos now has in collaboration with Apple, now has a pretty good option. B&H was briefly selling a sub $100 stabilizer, iPhone stabilizer. Remember when these first came out, they were like $800. Now you can get one for 90 bucks and put stabilization on pretty much everything if that's the way you're inclined. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you probably know that Avengers was released, Infinity War this weekend. Disney did a very good job at letting the entire planet know that there was this movie in the theaters. It's something that Disney really has caught the market cornered for. They were rewarded with a $640 million global opening, which is I think $100 million higher than the last one, the Fast and Furious movie. What almost no one predicted is that it beat The Last Jedi and became the biggest US box office opening ever, which was huge. The Marvel movies are only 10 years old, and they've done a textbook. I mean, this is going to be studied in film business schools for years to come, how they slowly put the pieces and then, brought them all together. Something I think is interesting to mention with this is that movies usually are very dependent on the previous chapter of the sequel to build hype and to kind of push into the next installment. And leading into this movie was Black Panther, which people were hoping would do really well, but no one expected how big and how huge and what a phenomenon it would become. So I'm sure setting up, 10 more years of franchises to come. Oh, the last thing I want to mention is Masterclass sent me a email about Spike Lee teaching a director's workshop. These have been really good so far. I've got the Werner Herzog one. I've got the Ron Howard one that I'm watching right now. The Martin Scorsese one is out. So I think it's amazing that there are all these world-class filmmakers who are just lining up to share their process in a really open and honest and direct way with people that have watched and loved their films their whole life. I mean, the best thing I'm getting, and I'm going to probably do little mini reviews of all the things I learned from each one of those courses, but the thing that I got a lot out of is you can learn a lot just by hearing these people, how these people communicate, how Ron Howard, just the language that he uses, the tone that he uses, how he thinks, how he expresses himself. It's wonderful. It's like stuff that you only used to be able to get if you were in the industry and you're in a position to meet these people or work with these people. It's not all sunshine and roses. Quite a few of the episodes divulge into just like telling a cool story rather than actual meaty stuff that you can use. But I'm going to break down the Werner Herzog and the Ron Howard one once I'm finished watching them and just kind of tell everyone what I got out of it. And if you liked it, then go watch the whole thing. But I'm going to do a masterclass. Thanks very much for watching, guys. The channel's growing. There's heaps more subscribers. I'm really grateful for everyone who's out there watching and sharing and liking this stuff. Love that you guys are watching and enjoying these. Thanks very much. It means a lot to me. And I will see you next time.